So I have two amazing guests today. I got Hondro and Q. We are going to be talking about all things diverse community, being in the industry, and we're going to talk about slide through sessions, this little community that you guys created. So I don't know, it's going to be kind of, hard because I know you're going to both want to chat about it and jump in there, but I'm going to toss it to you guys to just tell me a little bit about the idea of slide through sessions and kind of how that came about.
Q, you want to start it off for us, brother?
I would love to.
Let's
So
do
this
it.
was actually a really great collaboration because it was different minds that were all focused on going towards the same mission of diversifying the mountains. And so I had a ski club called Ski Noir 5280, in which we created here in Denver, Colorado, trying to help bring more access of folks from the Denver community, but then expand it towards a larger demographic of individuals to bring them up to the mountains. Alejandro, I had met during an event called Jump and Freeze that Red Bull had put on. And within that, he had a mission within I-70 things of really helping to understand the corridor of getting from the community up into the mountains. And so we were able to bring ourselves into a room with some individuals from Red Bull and think about, like, what would it look like if we were able to put together a program that was specifically targeting adults and being able to bring them to the mountains and lower the barrier of entry to be able to make sure they had resources and opportunity to experience something. Because there's so many people who are focusing on kids or youth, but there's not many who are focusing on adults, and really making sure we have a program that would trick people into falling in love with something that we had. And so we put together this thing called Slide Through Sessions, and really thinking about the aspect of, all right, if we're able to have gear, if we're able to have lift tickets, if we're able to have transportation, if we're able to throw a party on the mountain, what would one person be able to say as an excuse for why they wouldn't want to go? And so we started putting these things together, and we're able to offer multiple trips up into the mountains. That has been a fun opportunity to change the landscape and the dynamic of what it looks like up there.
That is fantastic, Q. We are loving it. And I love your mission behind everything. And it sounds like you and Hondro, it was like a no-brainer that you guys came together because you guys both agreed on the mission that you're trying to set, right?
Yeah, I think it was really cool to be able to see somebody else who's doing the work in a different way. With Hondro, some of the things that he was doing with I-70 things, the way his mind works is just operationally. He does things and thinks of things in ways that really helps me. I'm like the big picture dreamer of, like, I want to change the world. And he's one of those people who are helping me to say, this is how we can change the world. And so I think that's really helpful with an organization or with a group of finding different people who balance you out and help build you. And some of the individuals with Red Bull, Kyria, all these other individuals were really helpful to help us do that.
And as you should be dreaming big, right? You should always shoot for the stars, and you are changing the world, and you are standing clear and keeping your eyes focused on that mission. And I want you to know that. And that's why we're so excited to be chatting with you. So I think you're doing a phenomenal job thus far. And I know you're going to continue to do so. And I guess, what is your favorite part of the slide through mission? I know it's going to be really hard to pick just one, but if you could and it comes to the top of mind, what would you say it is?
Hondro, I'll let you do it.
Okay, sweet. I mean, personally for me, there are two things. One is seeing people experience the mountain for the first time, especially those who have lived in Colorado their whole life but didn't know, say, Copper Mountain existed and what the village atmosphere was like and what sliding on snow is like, right? And having them recap with us during our pray party, as Q alluded to before, and they come up to Q and I and are just like, thank you so much. Like, this was amazing. I've never experienced this before. I'm hooked. And that is really the coolest thing about Slide Through, because we're creating an environment and a community where people, of color and the BIPOC community can feel comfortable learning something new, not being laughed at or singled out or ridiculed as some may feel when they're learning something new, especially in a very, say, white kind of industry. And the second coolest thing for me personally is seeing people come to a couple slide through sessions and just tell Q and I, hey, I'm buying a pass next year. Because that's when you know they're really hooked, right? They loved it so much that they decided, hey, I'm going to invest in getting, a ski pass, a snowboard, whatever it may be. And that's how we know we're doing something great, because that's truly what diversifying the mountains really means, at least for me, because now you have people going on their own with their friends who they've met at slide through or learned with at slide through, and now can, go do their own thing too.
Those are both two great points. And I kind of want to throw in a personal kind of situation with you guys as well. And I love this because I feel a personal connection with Slide Through because I actually started boarding when I was an adult, right? I also am a woman of color and I didn't grow up on the mountain and I am a Colorado native, right? And it just wasn't in the space. No one in my family did it. But kind of the same situation of when I gave it a try with one of my friends, I got hooked. And it's like finding you guys and finding that that's kind of the same situation that you're creating a space for people like myself and other people that are probably grown up the same way I have and kind of have interest of taking on the mountains and being adventurous here in Colorado but don't have the opportunity or the resources. I think that is so amazing. And that's my personal connection with you guys and Slide Through is you're creating that kind of that space for people to feel comfortable. And I think sometimes, I don't know if you guys agree, but the mountain can be kind of intimidating. Well, of course, like it's you don't know where to start kind of in this industry. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think that's one of the really, really cool things about what we're trying to do and what we have been able to do is actually taking it from that mentality of understanding the intimidation factor of the mountain, whether that's white supremacy and not knowing if you're going to be welcomed in the areas in which you show up, feeling singled out because oftentimes when you're in those spaces, you're alone, right? If I leave my ID on the counter in a restaurant, it's not hard for somebody to figure out whose ID it was because there's not a lot of people who look like me, right? But beyond that, there's this intimidation factor that anybody of any complexion would feel if you just don't understand or don't know, right? When we talk about green, blues, blacks, for those of us who have been on the slopes, we understand what that language even means. But for somebody who hasn't, they're like, what do you mean? Should I go on a black run? I'm black. So yeah, I'll go on a black run, right? And they have no idea what that means.
Sure.
Or when you're like, we hoping for a bluebird day today. Like there's just
Yeah.
language that's built into the industry whether or not you understand it or not will help you feel comfortable or welcomed in there. And so one of the things that we've done is even outside of taking people up to the mountains and actually going down on the slopes is we've hosted different moments in town to help educate. We went to Meyer Ski and we got to learn how are skis created. What goes into making a ski? What is the best wood? Why would I want a ski that looks parabolic, or a ski that's super skinny? Why would I want fat skis, right? These things help to educate the community so that when people are going on the mountain, they feel more confident. We went to Burton and we actually had individuals from Burton explain why was the snowboard designed the way that it was? What has been some of the progress of how snowboarding has gone and what is the next step into going into snowboarding? What's the difference between a split board or riding goofy, right? There's all these little small things that you take for granted that that would help you feel comfortable in places that you go on snow. And so a lot of what we're doing because we're working with adults is actually like taking time to educate and saying, okay, let's talk about base layering. Let's talk about a coat. If you're going to buy a coat from Walmart or you're going to buy a coat from fill in the blank of this high price place, what is the difference between those coats and why would you spend a little bit more money to make sure you have a down coat or something that's breathable or those things? And so when you're talking about just getting people on the mountains in this community aspect, one of the things that I've loved about this is like the educational aspect that goes into it and the intentional building of community within that of saying, we don't take for granted that anybody who comes to us knows or doesn't know something. We're gonna level the playing field for everybody and say, okay, all of my folks who have skied or snowboarded before, y'all stand over here. All of my beginners and novices, y'all are over here. That's not to make somebody feel like you're alone, but it's to make sure that once we get on the mountain, nobody has to ride by themselves. Nobody has to feel like this is only a ride to get up there. And there's inspiration around it. Like if it's your first day, and if everybody on the trip, it was their first day and they never got to see somebody who is decent at it, you may start to think in your mind, this isn't for me because I can't actually actualize myself seeing somebody do it. But when we have professionals and great folks on the bus who have done it all their lives or are continuing to do it, when we have folks who started with us last year who, to Handro's point, have bought a pass and are going on blues themselves, people can start to see that natural progression and say, okay, I can do this too. And what's exciting is that with some of the sponsorships and folks that we've been connected to, now we have, X Games folks like Zeb Powell reaching out and talking to some folks who have never been to the mountains before. And we have this intentional community and this wave of folks who are all growing and coming together. And so it's a very unique program because of that intentionality around community.
It is a very unique program, and you said that beautifully, Q. And it's almost like that support group. That's how I feel. It's like that support buddy system that you kind of get with Slide Through. So that's fantastic. And jumping into events, we're talking about all the amazing people that you partnered with and some of the events that you've been at. Let's talk about those, and let's talk about some of your favorites. So event-wise, let's talk about Slide Through sessions. Where have they shown up? Where are they trying to show up? And kind of some of those fun experiences that you guys have had together.
I mean, if we're starting with favorite events, that's kind of hard because Q, you can, support this notion if you feel inclined to, but I feel as if every single event just gets better and better, and that is one of the most, fulfilling things I see personally, just because we get more people, they're having more fun, they're more encouraged not only to just ski and snowboard, and I think that's something we have to think about. There's so much more to skiing and snowboarding than just sliding on snow, right? You have an apres, you wake up early, you take the bus, we're all, a little tired, but once we get to the mountain, you just wake up and you're like, oh my God, this is awesome. So all those little experiences and all those emotions that you feel really just, are invaluable. And every month, what we're trying to do this year is really have one on hill event and one educational, call it community event here in Denver. So that's some kind of what to expect from Slide Through. Of course, we'll be attending, the bigger events like the X Games and Dew Tour and things of that nature. But ideally, the events that we own will be one on mountain and one community-based event.
That's a great spot to be, is kind of one fun situation on the mountain, but also that educational moment. I think it's good to have a balance of both. And I think sometimes when we're so quick to jump to the mountain, we forget the education part, and that's what can maybe lead to bad experiences, right? So I've personally had one of those where, I wish I had this group when I was learning. Let's just say that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I hope you take that and you hold on to that, because this is what I didn't have. And that's why I love it so much. It's like I feel like a lot of people are in that same boat. But for anyone that wants to support you guys, or maybe wants to attend one of these events, or wants any more information on Slide Through, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you, follow your story, follow where you're going to be around on the hill or in Denver? What's the best way to go about that?
Yeah, so it's pretty easy to find us. We pretty aggressive with our Instagram campaign, and so that's going to be the easiest place that you can find us. Slide Through Sessions on Instagram. I'm also at Q the Q on Instagram. If you have an opportunity that you want to be able to follow us and see some of the things and work that we're doing, we're going to be going live with our website starting at the top of the year, and so there'll be some releases around that. And then one of the things that also makes us unique is that we have our own rental facility of skis and snowboards. And so we have over 1,000 skis, over 1,000 snowboards. We have donations that have come with coats, ski pants. And so when people come on a Slide Through Sessions trip, even if you don't have the resources, the hard goods to be able to go on the trip, we're able to provide those different type of resources for those individuals as well. And so you can always reach out to us if you're somebody who wants to go up to the mountains and you're not even trying to go to the slopes with us. We can open up our rental facility. It's located off of 34th and Holly Street. You're able to stop by, come say hi to us, grab some skis, grab some snowboards, grab some goods that will get you to go up on the mountains. Make sure you bring them back so that somebody else has an opportunity to do it. But I think those are some of the things that really makes it unique. So if you're trying to reach out to us, please come find us. And we're always looking for support, always looking for donors, always looking for ways that people can help us take this mission that we're doing and make it to the next level.
Beautifully said. And one last thing before we wrap up, I would like something from each of you if you'd like. But one thing you want to leave one of our viewers with that maybe are intimidated about starting their snowboarding, skiing journey, or some that are maybe a little bit hesitant. Is there any advice that you would leave someone with to maybe get started, or just to feel some hope to maybe jump on the mountain and give it a try?
That's a great question. Q, you want to start off?
Sure. So I take that question like I talk to my daughter. I have a 14-year-old. Her name's Imani Shannon, who, when we first started skiing, was kind of just coming with us, and I was leaving her because I wanted to go on some of the harder runs, and she was falling a lot and not getting into it. And there was one time when we were at Steamboat where, she had taken off her skis and was just like, I'm over it. I fell. I don't want to go down this mountain anymore. And I was like, Imani, you could take your skis off and walk down That's fine. But I would not have ever brought you on a mountain that I didn't believe you could get down. And I know you have the ability to get down, but you have to believe you have the ability to get down. And that's really what a slide through session is. We're not going to put you in a position that you're not ready for. We're not going to force you to go on things that are too hard. We have supports in place, whether that's instructors that will give you lessons or people in our community and our village really lifts up everybody to make sure we have the chance to do it. And so if you're hesitant about doing it, sometimes you just have to try. You know, Nike said, just do it. Sometimes you just have to do it to experience it, to see how you do. And consistency. If you just do it once, you know, think of all the things in your life that you've only done once that you were able to master by doing them only one time. Consistency is often the opportunity that allows you to master something. And that's what's really great about our program, is that it's not a one and done. It's not just we throw you in the water, see if you can swim. If you sink, we say, oh, well, sucks to suck. Sharks are in the water. At least you're not going to get me. But it's really a program that's saying we want to help build your courage. We want to help build your ability. And if nothing else, you're going to want to come to the party.
Beautifully said. I love that. I love how you used your daughter as a great example, because I feel like I can relate to your daughter. We've all been there. I'll tell you that. There's been times I've took off my snowboard and walked down that mountain because I've given up. So you got to do it sometimes, be in that situation, know you're bigger and better. Jandro, floor is yours.
I think a key piece is going with people you feel comfortable with, and that sometimes is the hardest thing to find. Ideally, if you're learning, you know, you want to be with someone you trust, and in order to do that, programs like this really help you find people and meet people who you can trust and who have been there, right? Because we all want you to, you know, progress in the sport, get hooked. I love this sport. I know you guys do too. Unfortunately, Q is a two-planker, you know, but besides that, I mean, we all have a passion for it. And now Q and I have been able to turn our passion from snowboarding and skiing into a passion of teaching others how to do the same.
Yeah, and you guys have done a phenomenal job thus far. And I want to thank you guys so much for what you're doing in this community and the mission that you are driving home and that you are sticking to it. You guys are making great strides to what is so important. And I am so glad that I got a chance to talk to you a little bit about the backstory of slide through sessions and where you guys see yourself going and the kind of the community you want to bring in. And this is where it starts, right? So getting platforms like this and, you know, having those moments to just educate and talk to the right people and reach the right people are going to be awesome. And I'm so glad that you're doing it. And I'm excited to see where you go. And so it's been an honor talking to the both of you. You guys are stellar people. Q, I haven't met you in person, but I know Jandro hangs out with the coolest of the coolest. So I can only believe that you were at the top of the top. So thank you so much what you guys are doing in creating this community. And thanks for creating something I wish I had.
No problem. If I could just say one last thing, I would
Please
just say
do.
that the best thing about this program is that it's a community-based program. It's a community-based program that's for us, by us. It's created to really help lower barriers. If we wanted to make money and use this as a way for us to become millionaires, we probably easily could have created a rental facility, charge folks a bunch of money every time they get on the bus, charge them money, every time they go up to the mountains, charge them money. But really what we're trying to do is lower some of those barriers by giving folks access to the mountains. And that's only possible because of different partnerships with people who have believed in our mission, organizations who have believed in our mission. And so if you're somebody who, even if you're not ever going to ski and snowboard, and it's not something that you want to do for yourself, but you believe in helping organizations like ours help others get to the mountains, please reach out in our DMs. Please find a way to contact us, because there's work for everybody to do. I truly believe it takes a village. We are because others are because we are, and we grow together. And just want to give a big shout out to Natty, Kyria from Red Bull, who have really been instrumental in some of the work. Big shout out to Jandro, and then the board who has been behind us, making sure we get the work done that we do.
And of course, big shout out to Ride Bustang and the Bustang CDOT collab, because that partnership, I mean, without them, we wouldn't have this program.
Yep.
Phenomenal. Great people and great people to have on your side. Thank you guys so much again for taking the time to chat with me and to spreading your message and everything that you're doing. Congrats on slide through sessions.
Thanks, Brie. You're going to have to come slide through with us sometime.
I know, literally come slide through.